and welcome. We are so excited to see you here today. I have the one, the only, often referred to as the GOAT, which is good. I never thought I would call Jennifer McGuire a goat. So I don't.
You know, calling your friends a farm animal name is,
It seems odd, doesn't it? Doesn't it really? I mean, it's a compliment in our current state. But so, anyways, we have the amazing Jennifer McGuire here to have a chat because we have, of course, another amazing retreat coming up with March Mindfulness. So today we're going to do a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about the retreat, of course, because you guys want to know. But we're also going to kind of like really talk about mindfulness. What is mindfulness? How do we integrate it as crafters into our life? So, Jennifer, if somebody has been no social media for their whole lives, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Jennifer McGuire. I am a paper crafter. I'm always struggle with saying what my job is, but I play with paper and glue. I just kind of do my own thing, and I get to work with a lot of different companies, which is my favorite role in the industry because there are so many great companies. And that's about it. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio with my family, and I'm a hot mess, so mindfulness is important. It's something that I talk about pretty openly, my troubles with depression and anxiety. I don't do that for any other reason than to let people know that if they have the same challenges, that they're not alone and we're all trying to get through this. So the topic of mindfulness is big for me, and these retreats I think can be really good for kind of giving yourself that escape from the challenges of day to day. So
and I
that's
think
me.
Yeah. And these are great. And I love that you mentioned working with other companies because we are a unique industry. We rise by lifting everybody up with us. And we love to work with other companies. We love to collaborate. Right. Collaboration is like the goal. We want to work with everybody and just have fun and doing what we do. I always quote Nabil. He had said this in a podcast, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said crafters are the ones that get up with the intention of doing something for somebody else every day. And we do. We get up to make something for somebody else every single day. Yeah. And that's a unique kind of niche.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't been to a retreat before, what happens is we have 12 hours with amazing instructors, different lineups for different retreats. We have Jennifer, we have Erin Thompson, we have Lahey, we have Vicky Papianat. I've practiced so many times. Papianat. Oh, Vicky, I'm so sorry. And we have
Queen Vicky. She's so good.
She's amazing. We did a podcast. I practiced so many times, and I still. She was okay. She was good. And then we have Christina and Therese coming back with us as well. So such an amazing, fun lineup of crafters. 12 hours, 6 classes. You're going to have beautiful products at the end, and you get a beautiful retreat kit, which we're going to be kind of sneak peeking. If you look at our background there, you have a clue as to something that's in that kit. So these recordings are yours forever. You get to keep them forever. So if you have to work that day, if your boss is like, hey, no, you have to work, you can still go. You can still participate. There's a Facebook group. You can talk to the instructors in there. So it's a lot of fun. And it's
a virtual oasis, of crafting. It's wonderful.
It is. And it's, Erica, where do I send my money? LOL. And this talking about mindfulness, I found Altenew when I was going through a huge event. My husband was in chemotherapy, and used to have classes an hour a week. So Altenew was my refuge. Altenew was my mindfulness. And I think these retreats are the same thing, where this can be where you're not mom, you're not dad, you're not big sister, little sister, aunt, cousin. You're just a crafter with other crafters sharing what you love to do. So what's your favorite thing about the retreats that we do?
Well, For me, it's that community. We're all spread out all over the world, but for that virtual time, you're together there, and doing the same thing, escaping in the same way. I like the chatter in the comments and such during it because there's a lot of interaction. For example, Erica, I see she's in the comments there. She's somebody that I got to meet in comments of retreats. So it's nice to make connections, make new friends with like-minded people. We all have different lives going on, right? But when we're all in that retreat together, we have that big thing of crafting in common. And I think that's one of the best things about it. And one of the things I like about Altenew retreats is the variety of products included. There are it's not like a collection of products that all are very much the same and go together exactly. It's a good variety that we show how to use together, but then you can end up with so many different style products afterwards. Or projects afterwards. So that's one of the things I like in particular about the products that are included.
And we were just talking about, there's the A3 folded mats in there, guys. That literally just came out and is so great. So if you're crafting at a friend's house for the retreat, you have that.
Mhm.
Like, you don't have to worry about taking that with you. And I just
Yep.
want to say, there are so many people that are talking about how crafting has helped them in the chat. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing that. I wish I could put hearts on all of them.
Yeah.
But that's kind of why we wanted to focus on the mindfulness today, was because
Yes.
so many of you have had that. I saw one was an abusive marriage, one lost, a family member to cancer. So, and Erica said it saved my life, my actual life. So
Yeah.
that's why we kind of wanted to focus on this lately. So you talked about, sharing your battles with anxiety and depression. What
Yep.
was a big catalyst? Because that's really a private issue most people don't talk about. I'm so
Yeah.
glad you have, because it really puts a face on it. And I think we need a
Yeah.
face on it. So what was a big part of that decision to share with the crafting community?
Well, first of all, your background
Yeah.
is right on point. Can you share that so everybody knows?
Yeah. So I am halfway through my master's in social work. And then I also have my undergrad degrees are in psychology and child development and family relations. So my whole education has been kind of focused in that central,
Yeah.
leading to me being a therapist at the end. So, yeah.
So, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you about this topic, because you have that background, but you also craft. And that's a unique understanding that, I don't have, and I don't think many people do. But for me, the reason I have been very open about it, years ago, I was a scrapbooker, and I shared a layout that I did in a magazine. And it was a layout about how I had postpartum depression really bad and how I got through that. It was I did this layout kind of when I realized that cloud had lifted finally, and I had it really bad. And so I did that layout celebrating that it was lifted. And then it was in a magazine. And this was before a lot of social media stuff, right? But I started getting lots of emails after it was in that magazine saying, you know, how much it helped them to know that somebody else has gone through those struggles. And it just started a lot of conversations. And I feel like the last several years have been extra challenging for various reasons for many people. And I think in social media, there's good and bad with social media. But I feel like if you can help people feel less alone in their struggles, that's a good thing. So I totally get and respect that some people have these challenges and they don't want to share and don't want to talk about it. Totally respect that, right? But for me, I felt less alone when I was sharing. In my local crew of friends, I don't really have that many that have those struggles. So but I have a lot in the crafting world. So I feel like it's important to share. And I know I'm not the only one. A lot of crafters have shared. And I just think it's a nice reminder. And I do know there are people out there with huge battles they're fighting right now. And it's not about one battle being bigger than another. It's just that we're all battling something, right?
Yep.
And how crafting is an escape for us sometimes and allows us to be mindful and focusing on something that brings us joy, but also we can give to bring others joy, which in turn brings us more joy, So, I just, it's something that I've always felt important to share.
And I think that's true as well. And I think that's one of the other great things about the retreat is when you're going through some struggles or you're having problems with mindfulness or just life is chaotic, it's hard to
Mhm.
create. It's hard to come in. We always ask the instructors, what do you do when you're stuck? And those
Yeah.
questions. But the great thing about this retreat is you don't have to think. You don't have to.
Yes.
You show
Yep.
up. The instructors are so supportive and they have great tips and tricks that you'll take with you forever,
Yep.
but it's all planned out. You just follow
Totally.
step by step. You can go different. They love to see it.
Yeah.
I'll let Jennifer talk. How do you
Yeah.
feel when you see their creations from your class?
That's one of my favorite things about retreats like this because I love to see when they make it exactly how I taught. Because to me, that person was just kind of getting lost in their crafting, just taking it in and creating and learning and kind of being mindful in the moment. But it also makes me happy when I see them take a creative spin on it. Maybe that day they were feeling extra creative. We have those days. Maybe they're not. We have those days too.
Yeah.
So it's fun to see the different ways they use them. And that's one thing I focus on in my videos is coming up with more than one way to use a product. So when I see somebody doing that, that makes me happy also. But, there are people who come to the retreat and just chat in the comments, but that's wonderful too, because you can go back and watch it. And that's where you can meet new friends also, virtual friends. It sounds creepy, but in this industry, it's not. I see several of my virtual friends in the comments here, and that's how I met them.
Yep.
So it's a say, and what better, when you want to take some time to yourself, what better thing than a virtual event too, because you can be in your pajamas, you can be cozy with your dog or your cat. And I don't know, I just feel like it is an incredible escape that you can make it work for you however you want.
And I'm glad you mentioned, and Wendy had mentioned about having mental fatigue. And yeah, that happens. You
Yeah.
come in
Mhm.
and you're stressed and you need the mindfulness, you need the crafting, but you're so tired, you just can't think. And
Yes.
that's what's great about these classes is you can if you want to, but you don't have to. You can just follow along with the instructor. So that was great.
Yep.
About the uniqueness of the crafting. Yeah, this is an amazing where you get 6 instructors in one place in one day.
Yep.
And their names that you see all across social media. And it's great because you can have a question. Will all these classes be live? Okay, all of these are live and in action. As they
Yes.
go. So if we drop an
Yes.
ink pad on the card, you see how to fix it because
Yep.
it's live. They
Yep.
are all recorded also, though. So the
Yes.
following Monday, they'll be uploaded to your Altenew Academy account and you have them forever, forever. They don't go
Yes.
away, always there. So it's
Yep.
very exciting.
So if
Trying to
you
think
just need some time to rest and relax, you can put on your jammies, curl up on the sofa, watch, interact, ask questions that you may have, and then you can go back and watch them and create. And I feel like that also will give you a deeper understanding of the different techniques taught. And I like the crew of teachers in this event because there's a good variety. So
yes.
you'll end up learning a variety of styles too. So that's something that is fun because it's a great way to experiment with a style that may not be something you normally do, but in a safe way that makes it easy,
So we have some questions. There will be sneak peeks in the Facebook group. You get sneak peeks ahead of stuff coming out. You get to see what's in the kit. That will be coming. We just released this yesterday. So those will all be
Yes.
coming. This is open to everybody. We have crafters across the world. So we hope that if you are across the world, please join us. This is open to everybody.
Some of our teachers are international too.
Yeah. Because Therese is in Australia.
Yes.
Vicky is in Greece. And
right.
I don't know. I think everybody else is in the US, but I'm not positive on that. The listing, could we put the listing in again, Han or Angel? I'm not sure who's with us today behind the badge. I think I got all of the questions, but yes, you can always watch these again. So you also get with this, you get PDFs. And those PDFs, again, you can download, keep, and it has. So Jennifer will outline step by step how to do the project. So 3 years from now, if you're like, oh, I loved that card, I want to make it again, you have the video and you have so it's like having Jennifer with you again. So we don't take the videos away ever. You always get to keep them. Thank you, Hannah or Angel, whoever is behind the badge. Thank you so much.
And there is a code that saves you a lot of money.
Yay!
So the code, what is it, Mike? Mindful Jennifer. I do have, if you're on my channel watching this, because we're on both Altenew and my channel, it's in the description. So you can click the link there and use Mindful Jennifer, and that will save you a lot. At
Altenew, we love it when you save money. We love it when you save money. Somebody else asked if all the supplies were included. All the supplies are not included. The main supplies are. Hopefully, maybe Jennifer, do you want to explain how this all works with the kit?
So you get the supplies, all the core things like the stamps and the dies and the stencils, everything like that is included. Things like glue, like a paper trimmer, scissors, basic supplies are not included. But from what I've seen, those supplies are things that most crafters have. So there's never anything like specific, like you have to go get this stencil set. It's not like that. It's everything's included except for the basic supplies. But ahead of time, they'll tell you before the event starts what the basic supplies are that you need.
Now, do you have tips for preparing as participants? I know some instructors will give homework. So, of course, do the homework if the instructor says it. But do you have other tips and tricks for going to events like this?
I've seen a lot, I'm teaching, so I have mine prepared differently. But what a lot of people will do is get like a storage bag like this, but bigger, and then have all of the supplies that you need for a class in there, because you'll get the information ahead of time. She talked about homework. The homework's not a big deal. It's little things we ask you to do ahead of time so that class moves better and we can share more. We don't want to take time in class cutting a piece to a particular size when we could be sharing a technique. So what I recommend doing is the homework, and put your supplies in a little bag together, and then you're ready to go. I have a tray or a cart with different trays, like tiers, and I'll put different classes on each of those. One thing that I personally don't recommend doing is trying to create the card ahead of class, because here's the thing. I am terrible at writing instructions, writing of any kind. So for me, you're going to learn a lot more about how to do a technique by watching it than reading it. And I feel like if you read and try to do the project before class, you'll miss some of those really key things that might frustrate you if you're reading the instructions. So I would recommend just waiting and watching in class and creating along with us or later on. Those are my tips for getting ready. And any Ziploc bags, any kind of little container or basket would work. So you just have it organized and you can jump right in.
And we have new pouches at Altenew, the watercolor pouches coming out. Yes. So those are perfect. And the piece of advice that I have for you is, if they do an embossing folder and you're a slower crafter, emboss that ahead of time. Just do that piece, because that way it gives you a little time. If you're still inking or stamping, you can catch up in between. And I also recommend having just a bin, whether it's like a Tupperware, Rubbermaid, whatever. Put your dirty stamps in there. Don't try to clean them that day. Just clean them in between their breaks. I just put them
It's
dirty
supposed
back
to
on the
be
carrier
an
seat.
escape, so no cleaning allowed.
This is supposed
No
to be
stress.
relaxing. That's one rule.
Yes.
Pajamas, no cleaning.
Yep.
Now, what do
Totally.
you keep? Do you keep coffee with you? Do you have water? Do you have snacks around you during the day? Because I know you still watch with us during other classes. So, do you have snacks when you're watching and not instructing?
Usually I have a big thing of water, but this morning, like today, I had a peppermint mocha, which I rarely do. But usually it's just water. I don't trust myself with anything else in my craft room. Unless it's after 5, I might have a glass of wine, but I'm not usually crafting that late in the day. So, um, you know, I I don't know. I can't, if I were to have snacks in my craft room, I would mindlessly eat them because I would get into and just so trying to behave.
Well, that's what Jen Razzak keeps M&Ms in her craft room. And I'm like, whoa, like that's so impressive. I have a little bag in my kitchen. Oh, you my guest snacks.
That's it. Right outside my room, there's like a little bar in our basement, and those pretzels are there. So I will have to get up and go to get those.
I keep see Jen's a chocolate M&M, the original. I'm a peanut M&M, so I keep my peanut M&Ms in the kitchen. So I have to actually walk and get them. So it's not just
Yeah,
eating peanut M&Ms constantly. So
totally. Totally.
uh oh, Erica said, ha ha ha, Mike's crafts are Jennifer's. Your pretzels.
Yeah, they're both of ours. They're both of ours.
Now, do you have like the mindfulness? Do you have some comments that have stuck with you over the because you get a lot of comments on stuff. So, do you have some that really stuck with you or stories that you've received from folks that have really stuck with you over the years?
I because I talk openly about my struggles with anxiety and depression, I do get a lot of comments from and emails and cards from people saying how helpful it is that to have these videos and retreats and things available when people are going through a hard time. So I'll get notes about how their husband's sick or their dog died or something, and how crafting has gotten them through it. And I think it's you know I do this for a job, so that's a little bit different. But I feel like when people are going through those hard times, you can get on like YouTube and just watch a crafty video and forget, like just step away from those challenges for a little bit. And then when you can craft, I feel there's something about using your hands. I feel like we were created to create, and that can be a powerful escape. Um, so I get a lot of notes about how crafting helped them through a lot. I know COVID time was excruciatingly hard for many people, and I know a lot of people found um, a kind of a refuge in their crafting.
And I do
So,
hear that from folks. They're like, "That's how I
yep,
found Altenew." They had classes during
yes,
COVID, and that's how I found
mhm,
them was through that. And now
yep,
I'm like obsessed with Altenew because I found that class, and I think that was
yep,
something amazing. Having the Zoom platform that we can all connect
mhm,
together, whether we're in Greece or whether we're in Ohio or Maine,
yes,
wherever we are, we're together. But like you mentioned, it's also you're in the comfort of your space. It's not the old days when you had to start like a week before packing your bag and making sure you didn't forget your scissors
yeah,
or your foam tape or your heat tool and oh, are they going to have a plug near me? And this is your space. So I think it takes that stress of going to an
right.
event out of it. It's just you walk into your space and you're there. So I think that's really great.
100%. And, I feel like a lot of people who do card making or any kind of crafting, a lot of them have social anxiety issues.
Yep.
I know I do.
Yep.
And so to go to an event in person can be intimidating, and for some people really not possible. So to be able to have a virtual option where you can sit quietly and watch, or you can interact, I think is incredibly important. And I, I don't know. I think having that option is very, very powerful, and it's helped me quite a bit too, because I struggle going to like the big crafting shows, and the older I was getting, the more I was struggling with them. So I could often be found underneath a table hiding, and I'll text Christina. I'm like, I'm freaking out. Please come save me. She'll crawl under the table with me. So the virtual event is the virtual aspect, I think, is has really been a saving grace for a lot of people.
So how, for folks, we had talked about it before, kind of, if your mind is kind of spent from the stress in your life and the chaos, how do you get crafting if you don't have, I mean, obviously the retreat, we have everything's planned out, but if you're in your space and you want to craft but you can't, do you have any advice?
Well, right now I'm going through a huge creative rut. And part of that is because of just struggles that I'm having. We just have things going on, and just the past few months have been challenging. And so I feel like I got through, like we both had the shoulder surgery, right? And that that was discouraging in many ways. And then some other things going on. And what I'm finding is right now I'm in the thick of the loss of creativity. I feel like an aftermath of a bunch of struggles. Sometimes when you're going through a struggle or going through a hard time with anxiety or whatever, you might lose your mojo during it. For me, I often lose it after, like when I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Where I feel like, I call it like an anxiety hangover, when there's a lot of bad things going on and then you kind of find your way through it and then you're just done. Right. And my friend Kathy Zilski, I think she's here. I was texting her saying, I'm done. I don't feel like I can do anything right now. And what I do when that happens to me is I look back at old things that I've made that I enjoyed making. It doesn't mean I like the final card, but I'll remember, like, I loved doing layering stencils, easy ones where Altenew has like the etched lines that help you line it up. Something that I remember enjoying doing, and it wasn't hard, and I felt good about how I did it. I'll revisit those ideas. That's a big thing for me. In fact, I just did a video with Altenew's last release, and I was struggling. I could not think of what to do. I was not feeling creative. So I looked back on my old videos and I remembered, oh, when I create a card that has dimension when it comes out of the envelope, that makes me happy. Yeah. So that's how I chose to do that technique. So for me, I feel like when you're really struggling creatively, or just with where your headspace is, go to something that you remember felt good to you. And another thing you can do is go to a YouTube video of somebody who you find inspiring and just watch them craft. And I feel like sometimes that reminds you of kind of the steps to go through to get back into it. And another thing that I recommend is, when I'm struggling, and you can probably tell it by, you'll find me doing a lot of die cutting. I'll do a ton of die cutting. I'll do a ton of, in fact, this is just sitting here because I haven't put it away. I didn't get it out for today's discussion, but this is like, I'm putting together this is the Altenew Timeless die set.
Yeah.
And I love all of them in here. So I'll just do a ton of die cutting. I'll glue them together. And I feel like that repetitive action of making something repetitive is healing.
Yeah.
It allows you to, it's the mindfulness aspect. You're really focusing on it, and it doesn't take a lot of thought, but that repetitive is good. And then when you are feeling creative, you're prepared to have these pieces that you can add on to whatever inky background you do. So, but I think it's also important to remember everybody's different. There are people like Christina. Oh my goodness, that girl can watercolor, right? Oh, so she could sit, if she is feeling like she's lost her mojo, she could sit in watercolor images and that might pop her out. To me, that would kick my anxiety into high gear. The thought of watercoloring an image, I'm out. So I only take that on when I'm, in a good headspace. So everybody is different, and you got to kind of think about that. But I do think something that works for everybody is to go back and think of what makes you happy, or something that you've done that you felt good about that you can just revisit. You can make the same darn card that you made last time. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This is about creating. We were created to create. And I also think there is that amazing, powerful aspect of what we do over a lot of other types of crafting, and that is the giving of the cards. If you want to keep your cards, I know some people do, make 2 of them at once, so that you can give one. It really feels good. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts. What do you do when you're stuck?
Sometimes it's so bad, I just cut cardstock. Like, I have nothing. The tank totally, like, puffs of smoke are coming out of the tank because it is just gone. And cutting card bases, card panels. I just did the other day. Actually, I did what Jennifer just showed, the timeless sentiments. Spent a day doing those, and then a day doing A2 panels. So,
that's what these are right here.
When I'm in the flow, like, I don't want to stop to cut a panel, but when I have nothing, I have all this time to cut the panel. So, and I think making a list when you're in a good headspace of what makes you happy.
That's a good one.
Because when you're down, nothing makes you happy. You're struggling.
No.
So when you're happy and you're in a good crafty headspace, I would make a list of, like, for me, rainbow. Anything with rainbow, I'm in. Like, I'm sold. I see rainbow, I'm a happy girl. So I always say now it's my favorite color because it has all of them. So knowing what makes you happy in those good spaces.
I'm going to do that. I think that's a good idea, because I know that when I'm going through bouts of depression, when you're truly depressed, you don't see things right. Like, your mind is playing tricks on you. I remember when I had postpartum depression, really bad after Colin was born. We went on a big vacation. It was like with the family. My parents came, my brother came, and we went to this beautiful place in the islands. And this was 16, 17 years ago. About 4 or 5 years ago, I said, we need to go back to that place again, because the weather was so bad when we were there. I want to go back and enjoy it, try to get good weather. And my husband said, what are you talking about? It was beautiful when we were there. And he pulled up picture, and the sun is shining in all of them. I saw everything as cloudy and dark and awful. That's what I was seeing through my depression. So, your mind can play these games, these tricks on you. And I think it makes it harder to create and be creative. So the idea of having a list of things that you really enjoy, that you feel you're good at, because we want to feel good at what we make, right? Or maybe I made you a card and you texted me and said, I love that card. I'll remember that. If we had a list, or even a folder on our computer or phone of cards we've made that we like, so that when we are in that fog of depression or just simply losing our mojo, we have something written by ourselves that reminds us, I can do this. I think that's a great idea. Tape it inside on your wall in your craft room. That's a great idea.
And you can put it in a place where you don't see it, because when you're happy, you're like, I don't want to see that. Like, no. So put it on, like, I'd put it on the side of one of my buckets back here, and just, I know it's there when I need it, but it doesn't bother me. It's not there. So, and there is a kit for this. Sneak peeks are going to be coming out. Jennifer doesn't have the stuff in her hands right now, but what was your favorite thing you saw so far?
So for the mindfulness retreat, I saw the little fishies. See those on there? And it is excellent. I'm always up for something a little bit different, and there's a piece to it. That's one of the other reasons I use Altenew products quite a bit, is I find that everything you make with Altenew products has like this peaceful, calm feeling to it. And couldn't we all use a little bit more of that? And so for me, you can see a little sneak peek on the screen around our faces. I loved that. And then inks. I'm always for new Altenew color of inks, because they, so good. So good.
And like Jennifer said, there's always the stuff you need to complete your lesson. So there's the stamp sets or stencil sets or embossing folders, but then there's always the extras too. This Altenew loves to throw
Yes.
those extras in there. So keep
Yes.
your eyes
Yeah.
out. More is coming. It's on March 2nd, starts at 9 a.m.
Yes.
Eastern Standard Time. I call that the Altenew time zone now. I've gotten rid of the Eastern Standard. It's just the Altenew time zone. And it goes for 12 hours. So 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And like we talked about earlier, there may be, you need to grab some glue, or you may need to grab this. So yes. So when this kit is released, the products are exclusive to this retreat.
Yep.
Will they be released later? Don't know. That's the thing.
Sometimes not.
They
Yeah.
do, sometimes they don't. And sometimes they'll release one product, but not the others. So
Yep.
definitely this is exclusive to the retreat. So if you want to make sure you have it, you definitely want to sign up. And beyond the products, for me as a crafter, it's beyond the products. It's the people. It's the
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Even if you get
It's
a
fun.
stencil 6 months from now, you missed the camaraderie, you missed the community, you missed Jennifer teaching you a card with that supply. So, because you will not see these projects anywhere else. Nobody else will have these from any of the instructors. They will not be on YouTube. They will not be on Facebook. They will only be with this retreat.
And I also, one of the aspects of virtual retreat that I appreciate is it's kind of like you're taking taking a class in college, right? When the teacher's teaching you, you're learning more as you see them. I was an engineering major, so watching them solve the problem, right? I learn a lot. I learn more watching those steps than I would looking at the same problem in a textbook. And that's kind of the unique aspect of a virtual event like this, because you learn little things watching the teacher create it. Videos are a little bit different. Videos might include a ton of different products, and you don't have very many of them, or edited some of the basic steps out that you might actually learn from in a live event. So I think that it just feels like you're in a classroom with a bunch of other people, a fun classroom, right? And really learning much more than you would in another way. So
And there are
definitely worth
so
it.
many, I always moderate with you, and there are so many tips and tricks that Jennifer, I don't even think thinks of when she's creating the project, but when she's live and the process.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, is you get to see the artist's process, because
Right.
they're going through it with you. They're talking through step by step how they're doing it, why they're doing it. So you get kind of an insider's perspective as well, taking these classes, which is very unique. And again, you get the recording, so you don't have to take notes or panic or worry. No anxiety, no stress. We want you to just have fun and craft. We did have a question in here, which is a toughie. I'm warning you right now, it's a toughie. What is your favorite Altenew? She said color. I'll go with family. I'll give you a family. What is your favorite Altenew ink family at the moment?
Okay. Oh.
That's a tough one. These guys come up with some tough questions.
There are a few of the fresh dye inks that I can't get enough of. Like this one's sitting on my desk right now. The Ride the Wave, like the Pool, the Coral Red, the Let Us Celebrate, I think it's called, the green. I feel like in the fresh dye collection, there are a few of those like basic colors, like this is a really good royal blue. It's not too one way or another. But yes, I see Shari in here, she's a friend of mine. I mean, ink's not children, or do I? It's hard. No, that's Erica who said that. It's hard to pick one because, they're all my babies, but I'm really liking bright blues, like royal blues right now, and corals and pools. And I don't know. It's hard to pick.
It is hard.
I threw out a few.
And kind of going off that question, we had another question. What do you do when you have too many ideas for a project? Like if you have too many projects in your head, what do you do?
I write them down. Okay. In fact, I've talked about in the past, like one good way to make sure you get good value out of the products that you invest in is maybe you'll see an Altenew stamp set online and you're like, that's beautiful. I I would try to think of 5 things, and you can make note of them that when you purchase it. Then when you get it, you put that note with it. Maybe you can write down that I saw Bridget do a video with this product and I want to remember to go back to that. Or, this would be great to make a slimline cart or something. But if you can put some notes about a product on that product, with that product, you're more likely to use it and get good value out of it.
And that's a
By
great
the
tip.
way,
Yeah.
sorry, real quick. People
Yeah.
were asking about the retreat. Mike's putting in the comments, but it's in the description below where the retreat is. But don't sign up without using the code because it's going to save you a ton of money. So you want to make sure to use the code MINDFULJENNIFER.
And the
I'm not
other
mindful.
I'm so glad you I'm so glad you mentioned about that writing down, because I go on the hops and I'm like, "Oh, I have to have that. Add to cart. Okay, Altenew, send it to me."
Yeah.
And then it comes here and I'm like, "This is gorgeous, but why was I inspired by this?" So,
Right.
that's a great idea, because when you see the hops, when you see everybody's work, you're so inspired. Like the juices are just everything's like mass flowing. And then you get
Right.
it and you're like, "I know I bought this because I love it, but what did I
Right.
see?" So that's great, writing things down.
I see Stephanie says she takes screenshots, annotates them, and keeps them in an ideas folder. You can also bookmark, have like in your browser,
Yep.
a folder of bookmarks where you put it so you can remember. A lot of the questions I get on my blog through the email on my blog is, I remember you use this product, but I can't find the video.
Yep.
So if you bookmark something, I know on my website, I have a way that you can bookmark videos so you can go back to them. But any way that you think works for you to remember those ideas, write them down, take notes, do, bookmarks, whatever it takes. That will really help you also when you're struggling. I think there's a joy in using a new product, but if you're struggling on how to use it, if you have those notes, it can really make a big difference.
Now, so this is kind of a two-part question. Do you have a personal crafting life for yourself? Or is it just because you do it for a job, so you have deadlines, you have product you have to create, projects with, but do you have stuff that you do for yourself?
Sadly, I don't have the joy. My personal crafting, sorry, I'm trying to think of how to say this, comes when I make a bunch of a card. So like gluing these die cuts together, that's my joy. It's my mindfulness. It's a way that I get through anxiety, or tough, just a tough headspace. But that's also my personal crafting. So if you see me do a video where I make like 20 cards, that was my personal crafting, but I'm also kind of incorporating it into work. It's hard when you have a job you love, and I know you get this, when you have a job you love, it's hard to not work too much
Yes.
because you love it and I really want to help the card making industry. I want to share as much as I can, but I can tend to work too much.
Yeah.
But if I do personal crafting as an escape, it somehow gets pulled into the work aspect. So I try to do things like glue die cuts together, or the only other thing I do outside of crafting is I do puzzles. But most of my escape is when you see me mass producing die cuts. That's my personal crafting. And I also, as Shari said, I stitch quite a bit too. I think it was Shari.
Yeah.
When I stitch, I have so many stitched backgrounds that I've done that I haven't turned into cards because I just haven't had the time. So stitching on paper, that is definitely, but I'm afraid to try any other craft because I'm afraid I'll go on that slippery slope and turn it into a job somehow. So for me, my personal crafting and my work crafting go hand in hand. That's why people say, why don't you do many wedding cards? Well, most of the people I know are old, have been married for a while. So the cards you see me make in a video are cards I will actually use.
Yeah.
So that's why I have a lot of hello and thank yous.
I think it works for anything. Those are the two, or thinking of you. It works for any occasion, because I know we go back and forth about, do we put a sentiment on? Do we not put a sentiment on? Because we've all gone there. It's the perfect card, but it's got happy birthday, and you need it for a thinking of you. And so that's, I think, one of the great debates. Do we put a sentiment or not put a sentiment?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And you can make a card and leave the sentiment off and just have a space for it next time you need one. But I'm one of those who does a lot of hello, thinking of you, take care, sending hugs, because I feel like it can work for a lot of different things. So,
and we've talked about like the benefits of crafting and mental health. But what do you have? So do you have tips for when you're really in an anxious state, or really in just a stuck state, to kind of help, like drinking tea and before you're crafting, or is there anything that gets you in the zone to craft, shall I say?
Well, first of all, you got to take off any kind of hard pants. No jeans, no dress pants, none of that. You have to have some sort of elastic waist pajama or sweatpants. Am I right?
Rule one.
Rule one. I actually want a sign for my door that says no hard pants allowed, but I'm thinking that when my son's friends come over, they'll be like, what is she talking about? But you want to be comfortable. That is the key for me. And really, I feel like I don't really do much else. I just make sure I'm grabbing a product that I really wanted to use, something that I know I will enjoy. And I've read some people asking, somebody mentioned a comment earlier, something about what do you do when you're so down or anxious that going into your craft space seems overwhelming. I totally get that.
Yep.
My family can tell when I'm struggling, because I'll say I'm going down to my hole instead of going to my craft room, because I will feel like I'm lost in it when I'm feeling anxious or depressed. So I don't refer to it as a happy space then. In that case, I don't go in it. I'll go upstairs at the craft table with the die cut machine and do a bunch of die cutting, so you don't have to be in your craft space. And sometimes that can be overwhelming. So like that Altenew folding mat.
Yep.
Love that thing, because I will for Thanksgiving, I was anxious for various reasons. We went to my mom's house for Thanksgiving dinner. I grabbed a bag. I put in a bunch of die cuts. I put in that folding mat, and some glue, and I just glued die cuts together. So sometimes avoiding your craft space when you're struggling is okay, or just don't do it. Take some things out with you. Go somewhere else. Go up in the kitchen where everybody is. Make a mess. It's allowed. Sometimes your craft space can feel overwhelming if your headspace is feeling overwhelmed. So I don't know. I feel like you can take what we do to a different spot, in front of the fireplace, somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or there's ways to get around that.
Now, we had some folks talking about watching Seinfeld when they're crafting. Do you watch anything while you're crafting, or listen to music? Because so one of my tips, if you're feeling anxious, it comes from Grey's Anatomy, when Meredith and Christina would dance it out. Dance it out. Put a song on and awkward dance your heart out. If your spouse is home, just close the door, grab the cat, grab the dog, awkward dance. And it's amazing what that does for you, because you're just free. Like, I'll probably look like Elaine from Seinfeld dancing, but it frees my soul, and it's just freeing. It is so freeing if you've never tried to dance it out. And if you are stuck in a chair, I've done this too. Just dance it. Before a test, I would always put on Justin Timberlake, Can't Stop the Feeling. And before a test, to get rid of anxiety, I would car dance, which I don't recommend because it's probably not safe. And I think I scared a bunch of people on the way to school, but I was just like this, one hand on the steering wheel, but dancing in my seat, rolling my head around.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. The anxiety just goes.
Totally.
So do you have anything like that you do?
I have a couple things. When my daughter's in here with me while I'm crafting, I love to pull up Mike's laughing because I love to pull up YouTube videos of old songs and make her listen to them. And I'll be dancing. So she actually has a video she took of me. I didn't know she was taking it. I was making her listen to It's Raining Men.
You were singing too.
And I was singing and I was dancing and I had the video on, and you got to go watch the video. It's hilarious. And about halfway through, I realized it's not an appropriate song anymore. Like there's lyrics that are like, I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I didn't realize. But anyway, she's got this video of me crafting and singing and dancing to that song. So that happens, but you do need to go watch that video because it's hilarious. And then the other thing I do, like when nobody's here, I love true crime.
Yep.
I love true crime. So, and I know a lot of crafters watch true crime.
Yes.
Or some people listen to podcasts. I need a little movement to keep me paying attention. So having on TV or what, that's what I seem to go for. Or documentaries. I don't know why, but yeah, that's
I
what
like to figure it out ahead of the show. Like if I can figure it out ahead of the show, I'm like, yeah, I got that. I knew
there
it was him all along. It was him. I knew it.
Yep.
And I think
so yeah, that's what
environment too, you know, I mean, my husband always used to have the television on. He was always watching like his Colin Cowherd, and there was always stuff going on. And then when he passed, it was so quiet. And so now I have to have noise because that you get used to certain things. So I think know your environment and know how you function in your environment.
Makes you happy.
When you're in a good headspace as well is super helpful. Oh yeah, midnight snacking. It happened last night. I'm not gonna lie. Smart food popcorn. It happens. It talks to you.
I was in bed at 9 last night, so
I think mine was like 10:15, but it was by midnight because I don't stay up till midnight. I'm usually asleep by 9:30 in the recliner. So
no way, man. No way.
I'm getting old.
When somebody asked me what my number one craft tool is, my reading glasses. You know, I need those. Can't craft without them.
I had that this year at the eye doctor. They're like, well, you've had baby bifocals, but we really think you need to go up to I went up to the big ones. World of difference. It makes you feel old when you hear that word bifocal. I thought of my like 70-year-old grandmother and I'm like, oh my God, I'm old.
They really need a new term for that.
But it's so helpful because you can see all the lines. You can line up your stamps. So if you guys are on the fence about the bifocals, just jump. Do it. Embrace the reading glasses and bifocals.
Totally. It makes a big difference with crafting.
Yes. So you guys, you know, this has been kind of a different interview than we usually do for our retreats. Our retreats are usually more focused, and we still have 5 more interviews coming up over next week, and those will be on YouTube as it's upcoming, it will say. And you can also put a reminder so it tells you. It'll be on the Altenew, and then also all of our instructors will post it on theirs. So make sure to join for all of theirs as well, which will be a little bit different. But Jennifer and I had spoken before, and she really wanted to focus on the mindfulness bit of this. And who already signed up? I'm guessing Erica, because Erica posed that. Oh, who already signed up? I'm guessing Erica signed up. Yay!
Erica's great. So, Erica's one of the ones that I met in retreats like this, and we've become friends.
Me as well.
I appreciate this community so much.
And that's really what you're signing up for, in my opinion. Yes, you get a box of gorgeous goodies and a lot of extras that you're just going to use in everyday life. Inks, there's the A3. I think I'm letting the cat out of the bag, but there is the A3 foldable, because I was like, whoa, that just came out. That is so awesome. So there are extras that you're going to use, and there are fun things in there. But again, the community, the togetherness, it's just fun. We laugh so much that day. Like your face hurts from laughing because it's just fun and you smile. So, and like Jennifer said, even if you come and just watch, you're part of it. You're part of it with us. You can always watch later and create the cards later, but we want to share that community with you. So,
and I think we should do another live sometime talking more. I'd love to hear your tips. Because I loved your idea of writing down ideas when you're in a good headspace. So I'd
Yes.
love to hear any other tips that you have. So we'll have to definitely
Well, we can
go live again.
And yes,
Yeah,
we want
excellent.
international. We want to go worldwide, guys. It would be great if we could have one person from every country. That would be super cool. So it
Ooh,
is
yeah.
open to international. So make sure use Jennifer's code and her link there. If Mike can pop her link in there again, so that Jennifer gets that Altenew knows that that she referred you there. Thank you. That way they say, oh, hey, Jennifer sent you to here. So that's great to use her link. And again, thank you for joining us and working with us on kind of talking about some issues. And again, to everybody that shared in the chat, thank you so much, because a lot of what you shared was very personal. And so thank you for sharing and joining with us and creating this bond today. It was a very unique.
Yeah.
I always call it like a crafting quilt. Like each person brings their own square and it makes a beautiful quilt in the end, because we all add something. And it wouldn't have been the same without each and every one of you. So thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget,
we really appreciate it.
Don't forget to use the code to save money, because we love to save money. At Altenew, we love you saving money too. So we love to give these codes out. Make sure to check that out. And March 2nd, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And thank you, Hannah or Jennifer, whoever's behind the Hannah or Angel, whoever's behind the badge. Thank you so much. And we will see you guys all starting Monday. Monday, we have another live. So keep a lookout for that. And how long do we have to sign up? I'm not sure the end date of the signups, but it'll be at least a couple of weeks. So
I know the code is good through the 28th.
28th. Yeah. So
I'm sure it'll be open after that.
And sometimes we open it up again, but not always. So So thank you. And as always, I feel horrible calling you a goat. It just
I'm sure I've been called worse. So
it feels wrong. Whatever. So I'm going to say thank you to my dear friend Jennifer McGuire for joining us today to have a little chat. I know you guys like the goat word, but I just am like calling her.
It's okay. It's okay.
So join us next week as we interview the 5 other instructors and hear their stories, and bring your questions, because that ink one is good. Bring that one back. We like those surprise questions.
Yes.
We keep the instructors on their toes. So that's, I think, the hardest question I ever get asked is, what is your favorite ink color? They're all so pretty. They're all so gorgeous.
Yeah, no. And it'll change. I'll go off the live and I'll be like, oh, I should have said.
Yeah. And it can change moment to moment. So next week, tomorrow could be different. 5 p.m. tonight, it could be different. So, well, thank you, everyone.
And thank you so much to Altenew for doing these interviews. I think they're fun, and for giving us this kind of a place to escape when we're struggling, and making us feel less alone.
And the other thing is too, is in between the classes, we also have like little sessions. We have fun little sessions. Sometimes the operations team is there. I mean, the leadership team is there to answer some questions, or sometimes we have special events that tie to, in this case, mindfulness. So make sure to check that out, because this is really, it's the event. It's not just the supplies. It's the event as a whole that you really get. So.
Yes.
Well, thank you again for joining us. And we always say this, it's going to be here before you know it. It feels like March is so long away. And then next thing I know, we're moderating and you're crafting. Like, it goes so fast. So everyone, we will see you very, very soon. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.